upgrade my software. There we go. Okay, so this is where we left last time. So we have, I'm going to go ahead and delete this light for the moment. We have our areas laid out on Vectorworks. I've just named mine A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. And of course, every place you want to focus a light, you need to create a focal point for. Okay, focus point for. I'm going to start with my downstage center area, which I have called C in this drawing. Okay. Make sure that your building layer is turned on. And make sure though that I like to be on the lighting layer. And if you do not have a class called Instruments or Lights or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to call it Instruments. You double click, you create a new one. Instruments. And make sure you're working on that one. And just in case you're not, make sure you're in the Spotlight workspace, which is Tools, Workspaces, and Spotlight. I'm already there, but if you're not, make sure you are, because you're going to need that to get to all the things you need.
You made your Instruments class, right?
I just made it, yeah.
Okay.
I literally just made it in front of you. Okay? Yep, and you can call your Instruments class whatever you want. This is for your organization. I have been calling mine Instruments for so long that I will probably always call it that. And then I'm going to close the palette. Some of you may have it open already. I'm just going to close it so we can find it. Window, Palettes, and Tool Sets. And then you need to select the tool set that has the image of the Fresnel, the little light, and it's called Spotlight. Select that, and then you're going to have something that looks similar to this. You may have words and no pictures. You may have pictures and no words. I have it set up with pictures and words, so whichever you're seeing, you can see one of those things. And we need our lighting instrument tool. And actually, before we need that, we actually need to know what lights we have in stock. And we go to Canyons, and we go to our canvas shell. I'm going to need to block that out because I think my password probably just displayed on the screen when you watch this at home. And you go to Vectorworks Files and Lighting Inventory. And we have a file that says Pirates Lighting Inventory. And this is all the lights that you have available to you. Huh? Why are you going to start to cry?
I want all movers.
You have 30-some movers. Okay? And one of my statements on that, since you brought it up, is if you're using moving lights, I'm going to ask you what your plan for them is. You don't just get to, sprinkle moving lights like salt over your drawing. They are, what you're doing, what you're using them for, because you really do have to map out, if you're using moving lights to do multiple jobs, that they're not doing the same job, two different jobs at the same time. Okay? So yes, this is a list of everything you've got. And if you don't know what the lights are, Google them, and you will find out. Okay, lens kit. So I just want to show you source 4 body. That is the part of the light that lights up. And then the lenses are how wide of a beam you have. So you have more lens kits than you have bodies. So if you use more than 195 source 4s, you're in trouble. Because you may have plenty of lens kits, but you don't have the bodies for them. Okay? And fine, Vectorworks. Okay, and I'm going to pick your area lighting. You probably want to be just standard ellipsoidals. Cody wants them to all be moving lights, but he doesn't have enough. Okay, so click lighting instrument, think it's lighting instrument insertion tool if you can read the whole thing. Come on, expand. Fine, don't expand. Lighting instrument tool. Click that. Up here it says instrument symbol name. Okay. This came up and said ETC source 4 par wide FL. For me, it came up like that because 5 minutes before I walked down to class, I was putting those types of lights into measure for measure. Because I had to make a change yesterday from what I had done. So ETC, they are, you want to go to Vectorworks libraries, objects, entertainment lighting instruments, and then beyond that, they are in alphabetical order by manufacturer. So ETC is going to be down here with the E's. ETC, and we have ETC LED, LED, Celador, 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 Celador. We'll talk about those in a few minutes. ETC source 4, those are their conventional fixtures. And we want just their standard source 4. And you see we've got 5 degree, 10 degree, 14 degree, 19 degree, 26 degree, 36 degree, 50 degree, 70 degree, 90 degree, zoom 15 to 30, zoom 25 to 50. Okay? Those are the ETC standard source 4 ellipsoidals that they make. Okay? If you're using prominent brands, the lights are in here already, with a few exceptions. Okay? How do you know which light is going to be your best choice? Trial and error. Okay? You can run a lot of math, or I can save you a lot of time and say pick one. Okay? I'm going to pick one, and what I like to do when I'm not sure, I pick one vaguely in the middle. Okay? So our list had 10 degrees through 50 degrees. I don't think we had any 70 degrees on the list, which is a shame. I love 70 degrees. They're a cool light. So 10 degrees to 50 degrees, so 19's about in the middle, right? Yeah, 19's somewhere in the middle. I'm going to just select that. I double click that. Okay. Now all I have to figure out is where I'm going to hang the light. Okay. Again, I'm going to double check I'm on instruments and I'm on lighting. Okay. And that my electrics are turned on. And I'm going to come down here and say this is a front light. Let's see what it looks like from right here. This is one of my electrics. Notice as I get close, my light jumps to it. That is because I have an object snap on, Windows palette snapping. And if you have snap to object, which is the one that looks like a box, when you get close to a place where you can hang a light, it's going to automatically try to attach the light to it. That's convenient. Let it. I click first click. Come on, click. And then my second click, you notice before I click it, it anchors the light, but I can point it anywhere I want. Simple trick. Your light plot will look neater if you point your light straight up, straight down, straight left, or straight right. So whichever of those straight directions is closest to where it's actually going to point, go ahead and just point it that way for now. We're going to focus it in just a second. So I click so it's straight, and my light is there. Woohoo! And I can go around in 3D and look and say, why yes, look, my light is attached to that electric. It's pointing straight down at the moment, but that doesn't matter. Okay. Go back to my top plan view. Okay. What we now need is we need our object info box. Okay. If it is opened, great. If it's not opened, Windows, palettes, object info. Okay. And if it says it's open because it's got the check mark next to it and you can't find it, close it and reopen it, and then it'll be on top. Okay, object info palette. We're going to check a couple things out in here. First off, Z dimensions, 30 feet 9 inches. That means the pipe is 30 feet 9 inches off the stage floor. Purpose. Keep scrolling down in there. We have something called purpose. You need to fill this in. Okay? Whatever this light's job is. Okay? I'm going to just say front light from, and I could say front light from stage right. I might just say front light 1. Okay? Who does the purpose need to make sense to? You, not me. If I'm looking at your plot and I can't figure it out, what am I going to do? I'm going to email you and ask you what you're thinking. Okay? Usually I can figure it out. Okay? If you have picked your gel colors already, because you've done your color key and you're like, yes, Chris told me that that Congo blue with a 2% transmission value was a bad choice for front light, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay? Fill that in. Whatever color it is, I'm going to pick R60 because it's the color I was working with this morning. Okay? There's nothing magical about R60. It happens to be a no color blue. Okay? If you have done your channel sheet, if you have assigned channel numbers in advance, for me, if this is my first front light wash, and I'm doing area C, my first front light wash for me always starts with channel 1. So area C would be channel 1, channel 2, channel 3 is my third one. So I can fill in my channel number. If you don't know your channel number yet, if you don't know your color yet, that's fine. You can skip those. Okay? You do need to put in purpose though. Okay? And then keep scrolling down. If it's getting a gobo and you know what gobo you're putting in there, fill it in for gobo 1. Okay? You guys are probably not going to do 2 gobos in a single light. Talk to me if there's a reason you want to do that. Because it happens, but it's kind of rare occasions. Okay? And then we want to keep coming down to where it says focus. Focus is where this light is going to point. Okay? This is going to point at C, so I'm going to click C in there. I'm going to type in C. Your focus point does need to match exactly. Okay, so if you name your focus points like Bob, make sure you're spelling Bob, capital B, small o, small b, each time you do it. Okay, and then scroll back up a little bit. We scroll back up. Now you notice that draw beam is an option. I click draw beam, and my draw beam hits area C, and I see at my focus point height where that light's going to cover. That's a 19 degree. That actually is surprisingly good. The overlap isn't bad. It's getting, partway to my next focus point, or pretty well. I also may want to look at this from the front and say, okay, my beam coming down, how does that look? Okay, that's coming from a nice angle. That's going to give some nice sculpting to the performer. Let's look at it from the side and see how it looks. Am I getting under this false proscenium? Okay. When I look at it from the side, yes, I'm getting under the false proscenium. I can kind of picture what that's going to look like. I can say, I like it. Or I can say, I don't like it. Okay? That's not bad. It's covering a good distance, but maybe, I'm going to go back to my top view, maybe I want something that's going to get a little farther to stage right over here. Okay? So I'm going to try something else. This was a 19 degree. In case I have forgotten, if I scroll up, instrument type, ETC, source for 19 degree. It tells me up at the top of my object info. Scroll down a little bit, and there is a button that says replace lighting device. That is I would like to try something else. I have placed my light at the correct spot, but I want to try a different light there. Okay? Let's try a 26 degree. Okay? I double click, and there is my 26 degree. Now my 26 degree, I'm looking at that, I'm going to go, wow, that's really far across. Let me just see, I'm going to just use my dimension tool. I'm going to say, that is 20 feet across. My beam is 20 feet across. What am I going for? What am I shooting for? Huh? Yes, I'm shooting for area C, but what distance did I say my little trick for knowing your light's going to be bright enough? About 10 feet. So 20 feet, that's too big. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and delete my little dimension there because I don't need that at the moment. Dimensions always get placed on the dimension class, so if you're in show snap, you don't allow modify, it won't let you adjust it later. Okay. So too big. I want to go back, so I'm going to go back to my 19 degree. Okay, select that. And that's 10 feet across. Should be because my area, that's 10 to 12 feet across because that's what my areas are. It's 14 feet. It's a little wide, but it's not bad. And if I've got pretty good overlap, that's going to be fine. Go ahead and delete that. Okay. What I could say is, that's kind of nice, but what if I don't like the angle it's coming in? I've looked at all this, I'm like, I don't like it. I can also grab my light and move it. When I move the light, it's still going to be pointed at the same spot because that's what I told it to be. I can go, oh, what do I think about that? What do I think about this? Okay. And you can just move your light around until you try it and you find out what you like. Okay. The cool thing is I move it, it automatically updates where it's hung. Position FOH1, auto updates for me. As long as I'm attached to a lighting position, this will just allow me to move this around and try things at different spots. Okay. You're going to have to look at this, look at your schematic diagrams and say, this is what I like, or this is not what I like. Okay. Does that make sense? Who can tell you whether the light is in a good spot for what you're going for? You, not me. Although if you ask and you're trying to explain to me what you want, I can kind of help you figure that out. Okay? A couple of wrinkles in this process that I want to show you. First off, we've got a class turned off because it's annoying. But we probably do want to look at this while we're doing lights. It is called... Uh-oh, where is my trusses? Ah, they're on the none layer. So these things I just turned on are giant I-beams that are holding up the grid. They're very important and you're not allowed to move them. Okay? They're part of the building. The downside is what happens if your light is shooting through a truss? It doesn't work. You're going to get a giant shadow. So you do need to check that out, but again, you can do that really easily. You move around in 3D and you can look at the lines of your light and go, it is not going through anything, therefore life is good. Okay? In the main stage, the support beams are not horrible. They do not ruin your life as much as they do in the black box. Just, you know, when you go see Measure for Measure, look up and go, oh my, look at where all those I-beams are. They're probably in the way of the lighting designer. Yeah, I got to tell Brody yesterday that I really seriously considered asking him if we could move one of the I-beams. Because it was just really in my way. Brody said that would not be allowed. Something about the building falling down. Okay. You've got to look at stuff. You've got to look at scenery might be in the way. You've got building stuff that might be in the way. But this is really easy. In the old days, we had to do all kinds of math and figure this out. Now, look at it. Woohoo! I see where it's going. Life is good. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. We have one other step I want to do. So one of the things about this, I'm going to go ahead and turn my beam off. But I'm going to have you guys do this next step with me. But go ahead and turn your beam off. When we look at the light, if I don't open the object info box, can I tell anything about what that light's doing? No. That's kind of unfortunate. It means I have to open the object info box to figure out what the light is. Remember, we need to put some information around the light. We looked at that last class. We need to put its channel number, its unit number, etc. We do that with what's called a label legend. Okay? So click on up at the top of your screen, Spotlight, Label Legend Manager, or Label Legend and then Label Legend Manager. And this is a two-step process. First, there are no label legends in there. So we need to add one. Okay? You can call it whatever you like. Okay? I'm going to call mine Chris because that's my name. Okay? And then this is going to give us, this list is all the items that we could ask Vectorworks to display about the light. The things I'm going to recommend at least for this stage in your design, and later you can go back and modify this. When you modify your label legend, it will update all the lights. Okay? That's the cool thing. Okay? But for your brain to work, I would suggest clicking the check mark under Use for color, channel, gobo, if you're going to be using gobos, and focus. The other thing I'm going to recommend is that channel. If you go to the right of channel, it says container type. I just suggest one of the container types. I tend to use hexagon, but you can use whatever you want. Okay. And has everyone inserted a 19 degree or a light of some sort? Yes, good. That's going to be important for the next step. Okay, if you haven't, you're going to need to click choose and pick a light. Okay, there are lots of options down here. Feel free to play with them. Remember, like I said, you make a change, it updates everything. That's what's glorious about this. Okay, and if you don't like it, you come back in here and you change it back, and everything's good. Click OK. Now click Label Legend, and you're going to click Edit Layout. If you wanted to make changes, you would do Edit Fields. Okay, but we're going to do Edit Layout at the moment. Okay, and you have a screen that looks like this. Here are all the items I said I would like to appear around my light. And look, here is a light. What you're going to do is you're going to drag the items from here. Oops. You may need to be in Show Snap Modify. Yep. Be in Show Snap Modify to get to everything. I like to put my channel number on the back end of the light. I like to put my color on the front end of the light because, well, frankly, that's where the color goes. I like to put my gobo kind of in the light because that's where the gobo goes. And I like to put the focus at also at the front of the light because it's where the light's pointing. This again, I may take some of this information out when I go to actually output the light plot for someone else, but this gives me a lot of information that I can work with, okay? And then up on the right-hand corner, it says exit symbol. Go ahead and exit. There's one thing I forgot to put in there. I'm going to go back to my label legend because what's the one thing we're required to have in our label legend? And remember? Instrument number, which Vectorworks is calling unit number. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that. And I have to come back and I've got to edit my lab. But while I'm in here, I'm going to click next to active. That means by default, when I put another light in, it's going to automatically use label legend Chris. And you may have multiple label legends within. You may say, oh, this light needs to be labeled differently for whatever reason. Create a new label legend. It's fine. Since I added something, I have to go back to edit layout, and I'm going to go drag unit number, and I'm going to put that inside the light. And click exit symbol. This light hasn't changed, though. Didn't I say it was globally updating? It does, but I've got to tell it what label legend to use. So if I have it selected, and I go down to the bottom of my object info, well, not the bottom, near the bottom, it says use label legend, and I click there, I got a drop-down menu. Mine was called Chris, and there it is. Yours is probably called Label, or Cody, or Mine, or whatever you've called it, okay? And now look, it shows the information. Now I can look at the light and I can tell enough about it that I know what it is. I don't have to open object info all the time. Does that make sense? So let's assume that I really like this light and I really like it here. Do I really like this light? Do I really like it here? I don't think I do, but not bad. Okay. I'm going to assume I really like that. I don't, but I'm going to assume I do. Okay. And that may match your schematic diagram very well. Okay. I know that my areas or my focus points are 11 feet apart. 8 foot 3 and 7/8 inches apart. Okay, they're 8 feet apart. Okay. So I am going to just say, okay, my next light, so I did area C, my light for area B is going to be 8 feet over. Okay? And a couple ways you can do that. You can look at it and guess. There's a ruler up here at the top, or you can kind of use a piece of paper, hold it up to your screen and mark it and say, yes, this is how far apart they are, or use your finger. From my screen on my Zoom currently, it's from my first knuckle to the tip of my second finger, and I go and I place my second light. Okay, and I've got to fill in all the information about it again. That it is a front light, and that it is R60, and that is now channel 2 because it's for area B, and I have to go down to area focus and tell it area B. Okay, and if I have any doubts about whether this light is going to work well or not, I can turn on the beam, and say it is going to work well or not. Then I'm going to do the same for area A and then all the rest of my areas. When I go to a new position, like my next, area H is, 8 feet upstage, so I probably am going to have to go to the next pipe towards the proscenium arch. Does that make sense? To place it so I'm matching my angle. And that may involve using a different instrument, but I can check it, drop all the lights in. Once I have this done, I can do my next ones, and my next ones, and my next ones. Does this make sense? Yes? Any questions before I stop the recording? No? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording then.